one of the things we do on our days off is to go and visit historic houses, National Trust kind of properties with gardens. But here's the confession. Our motivation is often not the history. The first thing we do, quite often, when we go to these places, is check out a cafe. Maybe you've been to a nice National Trust tea room. They always have good tea and cakes and things available. It's not that the history is not interesting, but sometimes there are other priorities. When you go somewhere, do you go to historic places? Do you check out museums, or do you think, no, that's irrelevant? As Christians, we draw our faith from the Bible, from the scriptures. And often we can approach that like we're reading an ancient document. And it is an ancient document. It was written 2,000 years ago in a different culture, in a different context. But the danger is we can think, well, then it's not relevant for us today. But just like if you go to a museum or your National Trust property, you realise that actually there are things in their lives that are much the same. The issues they struggle with were the same things we go through. And it's the same with the Bible, because people haven't changed and God hasn't changed. Yes, technologies change, cultures change, our approaches to things change. But actually, relationships between people and all the stuff we struggle with is much the same. Yes, when you read the Bible, you've got to do the work to bridge the context between their context and ours. And often that's where we struggle, because it's not written directly for the 21st century audience. But when we do that, we see God is at work, and we get to know his story of bringing salvation to the world and our part in it. That it's a story that's not over yet. That Christ has died and Christ is risen, but Christ will come again. And we're living in that story. So whether you love history, whether you run a mile from historic houses and museums, can I encourage you, if you want to be a Christian and follow Jesus, get into the Bible. Don't just dismiss it as an historic, outdated book, but see in it the God that doesn't change, the human heart that remains the same. Yes, we have to work to bridge the cultures, but through it, God speaks. So press on with the Bible. This is our Midweek Thought. Back on this channel for worship on Sunday. God bless, keep in touch, and take care.